Let's be real. Some of the greatest RPGs of all time were born on the PlayStation 2. But here's the problem. Many of them are trapped there, aging, forgotten, and in desperate need of a second chance. Imagine these classics reborn with next-gen graphics, smoother gameplay, and the revival they truly deserve. Today, we're diving into 10 legendary PS2 RPGs that absolutely need a remake. Some could redefine entire franchises, others might finally get the recognition they always deserved. Stick with me, because this list is going to be a trip down memory lane, but with a glimpse into what could be an epic future. Tales of the Abyss is one of those RPGs that left a lasting mark on anyone who played it on the PlayStation 2. It delivered an unforgettable story, complex characters, and a combat system that felt ahead of its time. While Tales of Symphonia stole the spotlight on the GameCube, Tales of the Abyss became a cult classic among fans, offering a deeper narrative and a more refined battle system. Years later, it even got a port for the Nintendo 3DS, but let's be honest, that version didn't do the game justice. The PlayStation 2 original remains the definitive way to experience this masterpiece. What makes Tales of Abyss so special? It's not just the gripping story of Luke, a spoiled noble forced to confront the truth about himself and the world around him. It's the way the game blends storytelling with its dynamic battle system, pushing the limits of real-time RPG combat. It introduced the free run mechanic, giving players more freedom than ever in battles, a feature that became a staple in future games of the series. And let's not forget the score. It's a soundtrack that elevates every moment, from emotional character revelations to intense boss fights. Despite its significance in the franchise, Tales of the Abyss remains stuck in the past. With how many older Tales of games have been remastered or remade, it's shocking that this one hasn't received the same treatment.
Jack Russell!
What did I do?
Radiata Stories is one of those hidden gems from the PlayStation 2 era that left a lasting impression on those who played it. An action RPG developed by Square Enix, it offered a unique and immersive world filled with charm, humor, and a surprisingly deep story. Yet, despite its strong fan base, the game was left behind, with no sequels, remakes, or even proper remasters. What made Radiata Stories stand out was its living, breathing world. NPCs followed daily routines, creating an environment that felt alive. But the real highlight? The massive roster of over 175 recruitable characters. Every NPC had their own schedule, personality, and role in the story, making each playthrough feel unique. The branching narrative also gave players the choice between two completely different paths, adding to its replay value. With its action-packed combat, deep character customization, and engaging world building, Radiata Stories was ahead of its time. Completing just the main story could take anywhere from 30 to 50 hours. But for those who wanted to explore every side quest and unlock all characters, the game offered 100 hours of content. Square Enix has been bringing back classics like Final Fantasy and Star Ocean, so why not give Radiata Stories the attention it deserves? Whether through a remake or even a high-quality remaster, this game is long overdue for a revival.
Ha! No way! Attack that enemy!
Kingdom Hearts is a game that defined an era, blending action RPG mechanics with the magic of Disney and the depth of Square Enix storytelling. But let's be honest, playing the first game today feels rough. The combat is clunky, enemy encounters feel unbalanced, and compared to its sequels, it lacks the fluidity and refinement that later titles perfected. For anyone who has played Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3, going back to the original can be a frustrating experience. Yet, despite its flaws, the first game has something special. The story is simple yet impactful. Introducing Sora, Riku, and Kairi, in a way that immediately made players care about them. The sense of adventure, the mystery behind Ansem, and the crossover of Disney and Final Fantasy characters created a world that felt fresh and exciting. It was a game that captured the imagination of millions, and even today, it holds a special place in gaming history. A full remake of Kingdom Hearts 1 isn't just a good idea, it's necessary. Imagine the original game with modern graphics, refined combat, and the smooth mechanics introduced in later entries. No more awkward platforming, no more frustrating camera angles, just a polished experience that lets new and old fans enjoy the story without fighting against outdated gameplay. The series has evolved so much, and bringing the first game up to modern standards would only strengthen its legacy.
Come on!
Grandia 2 is one of those RPGs that still holds up today, but imagine how much better it could be with a full remake. Originally released on the Dreamcast and later ported to the PlayStation 2, this game stood out for its fast-paced combat system, engaging story, and unforgettable characters. While recent remasters brought some visual improvements, they couldn't mask the fact that this game deserves more than just a graphical touch-up. A remake could completely modernize its world, adding deeper character interactions, enhanced battle mechanics, and a richer exploration experience. The original's turn-based system was ahead of its time, offering a dynamic and strategic flow that kept battles exciting. Unlike traditional turn-based RPGs, Grandia 2 introduced an innovative battle system that blended real-time strategy with turn-based mechanics. The IP gauge dictated turn order, allowing players to see when enemies and allies would act, creating opportunities to interrupt enemy moves or perfectly time devastating special attacks. Positioning was also key, as characters moved in real time across the battlefield, forcing players to think critically about attack range and enemy counters. Magic and skills required careful planning, as casting times could be interrupted, adding a layer of tactical depth that kept every encounter engaging. With a remake, this system could be refined even further, integrating modern AI behaviors, fluid animations, and even new mechanics that expand the strategic possibilities while keeping the core experience intact. Beyond gameplay, the story of Ryudo and Elena remains one of the most compelling narratives from the era. The contrast between Ryudo's cynical nature and Elena's devotion creates a dynamic that carries the player through an adventure filled with mystery, action, and emotional depth. A remake could add voice acting improvements, expanded side quests, and deeper lore integration, making the world feel even more alive.
He who defies the will of God must die.
Raidu Kuzunoha is one of those forgotten gems that deserves a second chance. Set in early 20th century Japan, this action RPG broke away from the traditional turn-based formula of Shin Megami Tensei, delivering fast-paced combat mixed with deep detective work. You take on the role of Raidu, a young summoner tasked with solving supernatural mysteries while battling demonic threats using both swordplay and demon allies. What made Raidu Kuzunoha stand out was its unique fusion of historical setting and occult themes. Unlike most Shin Megami Tensei games, which often take place in modern or post-apocalyptic worlds, this game fully embraced its period setting. From its atmospheric city streets to its noir-inspired storytelling, every detail pulled players into a world where demons lurked in the shadows of an industrializing Japan. The gameplay combined real-time combat with strategic demon summoning, allowing players to command demons in battle while slashing through enemies with Raidu's katana. The ability to capture, train, and fuse demons added another layer of depth, making every encounter feel dynamic and rewarding. And let's not forget the sequel, which refined the mechanics, introduced a better combat system, and expanded the world even further. Despite being a fan favorite among Shin Megami Tensei enthusiasts, the series never got the recognition it deserved. Atlus has brought back several of its classics through remasters and remakes, and Raidu Kuzunoha should be next in line. A remake with modern visuals, improved combat, and expanded storytelling could transform this overlooked duology into a mainstream hit.
Get him to the X-Jet, Nightcrawler.
X-Men Legends 1 and 2 were true gems of the PlayStation 2 era. Developed by Raven Software and published by Activision, these action RPGs delivered a unique experience for Marvel's mutant fans. With a dynamic combat system, character progression, and cooperative multiplayer, these games perfectly captured the essence of the X-Men universe. Inspired by the gameplay style of the Diablo franchise, they allowed players to assemble teams with their favorite heroes, switching between iconic characters like Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler. Each had unique abilities, strategic synergies, and a range of upgrades that encouraged experimentation. The biggest strength of X-Men Legends was always the feeling of truly being part of the X-Men. The missions were engaging, blending intense combat with a narrative inspired by the comics. The campaign featured memorable moments, epic battles against classic villains, and plot twists worthy of the best mutant stories. The cooperative mode elevated the experience even further, letting friends team up to tackle challenges together, reinforcing the teamwork dynamic that defines the X-Men. With the recent resurgence of the mutants in pop culture, thanks to the success of X-Men '97 and Marvel's increasing presence in gaming, there's never been a better time for X-Men Legends to return. A remake wouldn't just bring modern visuals and refined mechanics, but could also expand the original experience, adding new characters, abilities, and even fresh content inspired by recent comic book and animated storylines.
Situation's getting bad.
Shadow Hearts is one of those RPGs that left a lasting mark on those who played it, yet it remains largely forgotten by the industry. A direct continuation of Kudelka from the PlayStation 1, this series took the bold step of blending horror elements with traditional RPG mechanics, creating an atmosphere unlike anything else at the time. Across its 3 entries on the PlayStation 2, it delivered gripping narratives, a unique combat system, and an eerie, unsettling world that set it apart from other titles in the genre. What made Shadow Hearts special wasn't just its dark tone, or the way it seamlessly mixed supernatural horror with historical fiction. It was the deep character development, the strategic battle mechanics with the Judgment Ring, and the way each choice felt meaningful. The series never reached mainstream popularity, but for those who experienced it, it became an unforgettable journey. The second game, often hailed as the best in the trilogy, refined everything from its predecessor, delivering one of the most compelling RPG experiences of its era. One of the most defining features of Shadow Hearts was its Judgment Ring system, a combat mechanic that added a layer of skill and tension to every battle. Unlike traditional turn-based RPGs where actions are simply selected, Shadow Hearts required players to time their attacks with precision by stopping a rotating cursor within designated hit zones on the ring. This system not only made battles feel more interactive, but also rewarded precision with stronger attacks, critical hits, and successful spellcasts. Additionally, different characters had unique variations of the Judgment Ring, ensuring that combat never became repetitive. This mechanic, combined with the game's deep customization options, strategic use of fusion transformations, and a variety of status effects, made every encounter feel engaging and unpredictable. With the growing interest in remakes and the resurgence of classic franchises, a full remake of Shadow Hearts wouldn't just be welcome, it would be necessary. Rogue Galaxy is one of those hidden gems that deserves far more recognition than it gets. Developed by Level 5, the same studio behind Dark Cloud and Dragon Quest VIII, this RPG arrived late in the PlayStation 2 era but left a lasting impression on those who played it. Unlike many RPGs of its time, Rogue Galaxy delivered a seamless open-world experience with no loading screens between areas, a feature that was ahead of its time. It combined an engaging combat system with deep customization, allowing players to craft weapons, recruit new crew members, and explore vast planets filled with secrets. What made Rogue Galaxy special wasn't just its gameplay, but its rich sci-fi setting mixed with classic fantasy elements. The story followed Jaster Rogue, a young man who dreams of adventure but soon finds himself caught in an intergalactic conflict far bigger than he imagined. Along the way, he joins a crew of space pirates, battles powerful enemies, and uncovers the mysteries of a lost civilization. Despite its quality, Rogue Galaxy never became the major franchise it could have been. While Sony did release support for newer platforms, it wasn't enough. This is a game that screams for a full remake, one that could modernize its visuals, refine its mechanics, and introduce it to a new generation of players. With Level 5 making a comeback in recent years, now would be the perfect time to bring this classic back to life. If you want to dive even deeper into Rogue Galaxy, we have a video here on the channel covering its entire story and everything you need to know about this incredible game. Don't miss it.
If things start to get hairy up ahead, use the transporter. Know your way around it?
Speak with Morgana.
The first saga of .hack is long overdue for a full remake. While GU received a remaster, the original series remains trapped in the past, known by a dedicated fanbase but overlooked by many who never had the chance to experience it. A true remake could bring new life to this unique franchise, modernizing its gameplay, visuals, and storytelling while introducing it to an entirely new generation. Unlike many RPGs of its time, .hack delivered an immersive and layered experience, simulating an MMO within a single-player adventure. It wasn't just about battles and exploration. It was about diving into a digital world filled with mysteries, conspiracies, and an unfolding crisis that blurred the lines between reality and the virtual. The episodic format, released across 4 games, made it an ambitious project, and despite its aging mechanics, its narrative depth still holds up today. Combat in .hack was fast-paced and real-time, setting it apart from traditional turn-based RPGs of its era. Players could switch between melee attacks, magic, and special abilities while managing party commands mid-battle. The ability to pause the action and issue orders to allies gave a strategic layer to encounters, preventing the game from becoming a simple button-mashing experience. However, while innovative at the time, the combat could feel clunky due to outdated AI behavior and limited attack variety. A remake could drastically refine these elements, introducing smoother mechanics, deeper customization, and a more dynamic party system that fully realizes the game's ambitious vision. With Bandai Namco's proven ability to modernize classic RPGs and their success with recent projects, this is the perfect time to resurrect .hack. Xenosaga is one of those franchises that left a lasting impression on RPG fans, but never got the continuation it truly deserved. Developed by Monolith Soft, the same team behind Xenogears and later Xenoblade, this trilogy was meant to be something much bigger. The original vision? A massive 9-part saga that would span multiple console generations. Unfortunately, only 3 games made it to the PlayStation 2 before the series was cut short. Even so, what we got was nothing short of incredible. The story dives deep into themes of philosophy, existence, and artificial intelligence, blending sci-fi with religious and mythological undertones in a way that few games have ever dared. The combat system refined turn-based mechanics with a tactical edge, while the cinematic storytelling set a new standard for narrative-driven RPGs at the time. And let's not forget the visuals. Back then, Xenosaga pushed the PS2 to its limits, delivering stunning cutscenes and character models that felt ahead of their time. Despite its cult following, the franchise has been dormant for years. But with Monolith Soft's success with Xenoblade and Bandai Namco's renewed interest in classic RPGs, a remake isn't just wishful thinking, it's something that could genuinely happen. Imagine these games rebuilt with modern graphics, expanded mechanics, and a combat system that takes advantage of today's RPG innovations. With the right approach, Xenosaga could finally reach the audience it always deserved, proving that its story, characters, and themes are just as powerful today as they were decades ago. And that's it for today. Now, I want to hear from you. Which classic RPGs would you love to see reborn with modern graphics and gameplay? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read and reply as much as possible, so let's keep the discussion going. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.